How are you doing today? How's it going? I'm gonna put another book here just in case. I hope you're having a good Saturday. I personally am having an okay Saturday. I feel like this week was a lot. Today in the class, I have an interesting concept, which is I had the idea that we could read some stories on Reddit and discuss them. So that's my idea for the class today. Hello, how are you doing today? There is a Reddit page called Am I the Asshole? And on this page, people post stories about their lives, and they basically want a public opinion or an unbiased opinion about whether they are in the wrong in the story or not. And so I thought it would be a funny thing to do to read some stories because also this is authentic English and maybe there will be some vocabulary that you don't know. How are you doing today? Did you have a good week today? What day is it today? January 17th. January 17th. I think actually it's my friend's birthday. I should call her. I just realized. Okay, so yes, that is the topic today. We are going to be looking at some stories and discussing your opinions about them. Does anyone have any life updates? Anything new going on before we get started? I think today, I'm not sure. I want to show you guys. I think I can show you using my phone. So there is a recipe that has been going around on TikTok of a Japanese cheesecake, but it's not a real cheesecake. Basically, you take yogurt, it has to be Greek yogurt, and you put graham crackers or cookies in the yogurt for at least 12 hours. And the yogurt, or the cookies soak up the liquid from the yogurt, and then it makes a fake cheesecake. And so I made this. Let me see if I can show you. This is what mine looked like. So I took this picture very zoomed in, but this is my fake cheesecake that I made using I wanted to use multiple things of plain yogurt, but then I ran out, so I needed to use one of strawberry yogurt, so I hope that doesn't affect it too much. Maybe it will be a better version. So if this is good, I will let you guys know, but I am excited to try my fake Japanese cheesecake. I also don't know if people eat this in Japan or why it's called a Japanese cheesecake. Maybe it was a Japanese person that created it. Yeah, in time and on time are a little bit tricky. It's very small. The difference, we would say, for example, to come on time to something is to come at the time on the schedule. So if we have a class at 5 p.m. and you come on time, you come for the 5 o'clock class. You are not late. You could be early. In that case, if you're on time, it basically is just the opposite of being late. So you are either early or arrive exactly at 5, but you are not late if you are on time. If you are in time for something, it means that you get there in the exact right moment. So that's more specific. You're not early. You show up kind of immediately before something starts. That's what I would say is the difference between on time and in time. On time just means you're not late and you arrive with the schedule. And in time means that you arrive immediately before something. Like, I ran to the train and got there just in time. So you would use in time if you want to emphasize that it was right before something happened or in the perfect immediate instance before something happened. And on time would be better to use with a schedule. I mean, I used yogurt the whole dish was yogurt. So if you're avoiding eating fat for some reason, I suppose it's not a good recipe for you, but I will be happily eating my Japanese cheesecake with my full fat yogurt because fat-free yogurt makes me sad. Hello, hello. I'm doing okay. How are you guys doing? All right, I'll get us started. I was going to read a story and see if you had an opinion about it. So, let's see. Okay. This one is called, we'll say, Am I the Jerk instead of asshole? It's a nice way to say that. A jerk. Am I the jerk for skipping my own surprise birthday party once I found out it wasn't really for me? If you guys are joining, I'm reading a story and then we're going to decide who is in the wrong in this situation. And the story is coming from Reddit. Okay, here it goes. So, I have never been big on birthdays. Don't get me wrong, I don't hate them. I just prefer something low-key. Dinner with my closest friends, maybe watch a film, something small basically. Everyone close to me knows this, especially my sister. Let's call her Maya, who loves big gestures and believes every birthday or achievement needs balloons and a theme and so much more. 2 weeks before my birthday, Maya started acting strange. She kept asking me if I'd be free that Saturday and acted weirdly when I asked why. I suspected that she was up to something, so I told her again that I didn't want a party. She just laughed and said that, as per usual, I was being no fun. A couple nights ago, the night before my birthday, one of our mutual friends let it slip about it being a party. She mentioned what she was wearing. Anyway, turns out the whole family was invited, and it was at our parents' house. Some coworkers were also invited, but here's the kicker, my ex. For a little context, me and my ex broke up about 2 months ago. It ended pretty badly. No abuse or cheating, but it wasn't a pleasant ending. I've made it pretty clear to everyone in my life that I want no contact. Maya knows this. However, she's told me multiple times that I should just get over the whole situation because he's a nice guy and that he's been a part of all of our lives for years. The first thing I did was call Maya, demanding answers, and she didn't deny it. She just said that we could finally talk it all out. She admitted she hadn't just thrown this party for my birthday, but also so everyone could see my ex again and we could fix things between us. She literally said to me that I'd thank her later. I went mad. I said to her she had no right, that I would have been ambushed into the situation on my birthday. And this was all after I specifically said that I didn't want a party. She just said that I was dramatic and bloody ungrateful, but she had this whole thing planned because I wouldn't find better, and it was a good gift. She said everyone had gifts and travels, and that everyone was excited. So yesterday, my birthday, I completely powered off my phone and didn't let anyone know other than my best friend. So we went out for lunch and went on a walk together. Ended up having a great day. When I finally got home, I turned on my phone and it was mental. Maya was fuming. People were disappointed. People even said I embarrassed Maya. Maya is now basically saying that I ruined the whole party and made it all about me. It was literally my birthday. She says that she did it out of a good place in her heart and that I should at least apologize for not showing up and letting people know. So am I the a-hole? Am I the jerk? Can you please share your opinion on the difference between I saw him cheating and I saw him cheat? Yeah, that's interesting. I saw him cheating versus I saw him cheat. Those are very similar. I saw him cheating. I saw him cheat. Yeah, I would say I have to think about the difference because those are very, very similar. And so Freckleface says, Maya wants to date the ex-boyfriend. Do you guys agree that Maya wants to date the ex-boyfriend? I think so, personally. I also think there's evidence in this story that this person is British. Did anyone catch why I believe that the person who wrote this story is British and not from the United States? Let me see. Yeah, I think so too. So I saw him cheat would be that you witnessed the entire act of cheating from beginning to end. So you kind of know the finished result of the action versus I saw him cheating is more like you caught someone in the middle of the act would be the difference. So it depends on if it's ongoing or finished. Yeah, bloody is a good piece of evidence that this person is British. I also was thinking it was mental. Mental is a British informal adjective to say that something was crazy. So people understand it in other English speaking countries, but British people really use the word mental to say crazy. So I went on my phone and it was mental. Like a lot of people had messaged me. We also say that people blew up my phone if you go on your phone and you received a lot of text messages. The other one was, yeah, I was fuming is another very British thing to say. Does anyone have an opinion about this story? Do you think if a person doesn't go to their own surprise party that they are a jerk or that they are the asshole? How about American English? Do you mean like the American English alternative? So this person wrote the story in British English. But if you wanted to say that something was mental in US English, you would say that something was crazy. I think would be the most common, or it was insane. Um, or wild is another one that people use a lot. I would say that is very common too, especially with younger people, to say that something was wild. And if you wanted to say I was fuming, that's very British, but in the US we would say something like I was pissed off. I was pissed. I was pissed off. Do you mean like nuts? If you want to say someone is crazy, you could say that they are nuts. You could say that's nuts instead of that's crazy. But it's always plural. It's always multiple nuts. Yeah. So what would you guys do if you were in the situation where you didn't want a birthday party? Has anyone here been in that situation? You don't want a birthday party, but someone throws you a birthday party anyway. I personally don't know what I would do in said situation. Yeah, I answered your question about the sentences. Saw him cheat versus I saw him cheating. I saw him cheat means that you understand that the whole action happened, so it kind of sounds like you saw the completed action. Versus I saw him cheating, it was ongoing when you saw it, so you saw him in the middle of cheating, but maybe not the whole action. But they're very, very similar. In some cases, you could, yeah. It sounds, if you say, I saw him cheat, it sounds like you saw everything versus I saw him cheating. Oh. Okay, this one is, am I the asshole for not going to my sister's wedding? This is like a similar theme. So tell me when I'm reading the story, if you have questions about vocabulary, feel free to write your questions about vocabulary. But also, if you have an opinion about if this person is in the wrong, you can also write your opinion. It's a large difference when you know about the party and when it's a surprise. That's true. Yeah. Do you mean like it's justified if the person doesn't know about the party, that it's justified to not go? I think in this case, it's like it was a setup. A setup is a trick, a setup, because she did not want to be together in the same place as her ex-boyfriend, but her sister tricked her or set her up in the situation so that she was forced to interact with her ex-boyfriend. From my view, I don't like to celebrate anything, okay, and I'm curious about why, because I feel like I love excuses to celebrate. I love any excuse for, I don't know, someone to give me some good food or presents or to be the main character. I feel like any excuse to celebrate is nice, but I know some people don't like celebrating. I guess I'm curious about why. if you have a specific reason. If any of you are those who do not like to celebrate your birthday or do not like to celebrate things, why is it that you don't like to celebrate? Is it the attention or is it the stress? Are you in Iowa now? That's so specific. No, I'm not in Iowa. I am from the United States. I'm from Washington, D.C., but I live in Chile, which is in South America. But actually, my dad is from Iowa, but I myself have never lived in Iowa. He is from Waterloo, Iowa. Oh, you're referring to birthday. Oh, really? So yeah, that's interesting. Maybe the pressure of celebrating your birthday. Sometimes I feel like people expect you to throw a party and then you're the one that has to organize a party on your birthday. And yeah, I feel like it can be kind of stressful to do that. All right, I'm going to read this other story. So, am I the asshole for not going to my sister's wedding? I, 32-year-old female, have a sister, 33-year-old female. We are very close in age, but our relationship has always been complicated. Since childhood, my sister has been the perfect child. Good grades, quiet, organized, never causing trouble. I was the opposite, more emotional, sensitive, and seen by everyone as the less smart one, especially because I started school a year earlier. My sister has never liked people much. She rarely had friends, and even now has only one, whom I actually helped her become close with. Whenever there was conflict between us, my mother always told me to stay silent because my sister was crying, so I learned to suppress everything. At 18, I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's, and I truly believe that years of silence and emotional pressure contributed to this. I have never felt understood in my family. I don't know what Hashimoto's is. If any of you know what that diagnosis is, drop a comment. Years later, my parents bought an apartment and told us that one of us would pay for it. I'm convinced my sister knew in advance. My grandparents later openly said the apartment was for her. When my parents finally officially told both of us, I refused to be involved. They still blame me, even though the decision had already been made. The apartment stayed empty when my sister moved abroad, while my husband and I bought a house without any help. Every time my sister comes home, I am the one who organizes family holidays. Yet she once arrived 3 hours late for my birthday because she had work to do. When she became pregnant, she hid it until the 8th month and was angry that she had to get married because it ruined her perfect plan. When I commented that the weather would probably be bad in the wedding month, I was attacked and insulted. 5 months later, she asked if we would attend the wedding. I asked her if she actually wanted a relationship with me because she had never tried to talk things through or apologize. She called me mean, hysterical, and said she didn't want to talk to me anymore. She also said she didn't want my aunt and cousin invited, but they were invited anyway. Now she and my cousin visit each other while I wasn't even wished Merry Christmas. She later invited me to meet my nephew, but it felt like a formality and not a genuine invitation. So, am I the asshole for not attending the wedding and meeting my nephew? Oh my goodness. I don't know what Hashimoto's is. Yeah, no, definitely. I think it should be I think any person who has a birthday party and your ex is unknown, like unbeknownst to you, your ex is invited, you have the right to sit that out. Okay, I don't know what Hashimoto's disease is. Hashimoto. Okay, Hashimoto's disease is an autoimmune disorder where the immune system attacks the thyroid gland, causing chronic inflammation and damage, which often leads to an underactive thyroid, hypothyroidism, and reduced hormone production, affecting metabolism, energy, and mood. Okay, so she has like a thyroid disease. Anyways, I suppose my question is, do you think that it is it's a pain? Ooh, yeah. No, it sounds, because it says here the symptoms are fatigue, weight gain, cold sensitivity, constipation, dry skin, brain fog. That sounds like a difficult combination of muscle aches, joint pain. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So Hashimoto is an autoimmune thyroid disease that causes hypothyroidism. So what do we think about missing your sister's wedding because it sounds like this person really always had a difficult relationship with her sister and has a lot of, we use a lot the word harbor to harbor resentment. Like she is basically holding on to a lot of resentment. She's harboring a lot of resentment about her sister from the time they were children, was the favorite and the perfect child. She needed to buy a house by herself, and her sister was given a house. So it sounds like she has a lot of resentment for her sister. And it sounds like her sister also did not maybe want her at the wedding. Oh, yeah. So Hashimoto's disease, probably Hashimoto is the name of the person who either was first found to have the disease or discovered the disease. But I'm not clear who Hashimoto is, but I'm sure it's a person. I left the US for Chile because when I was in university, I studied a semester in Chile, and there I met my now husband. And then I moved back to the US for some time, and then I moved back to Chile to be with him. So now I've been here, it's my 5th year in Chile this year. This is a difficult text. I wanted to do some reading practice today. I think it's always good to try to incorporate English from the real world into your life a little bit. And yeah, does anyone have any thoughts about that? Not going to a family member's wedding? Is it ever okay in any situation? Do I have many exes? How would I react if they were at a party? I think for me, it honestly depends. With 2 of my exes, we ended on with one ex, we ended on pretty good terms, but I was moving to another part of the country. So I think that, and we talked a couple times since breaking up, just like, hi, I was in your city or things like that, but never a real conversation. So I think if it were someone that I had an okay relationship with, I would feel awkward because it's like, oh, I don't really talk to you anymore, but it wouldn't be the end of the world. But I think it depends if someone tricked me. Like if my sister invited my ex to trick me and lied about it, that would make me really angry at at whoever tricked me, if it's like your friend or your sister. So I think that would, for me, the more important thing is like, was the person just at the party by coincidence, or was I lied to trick me? I feel like that would make me more upset. Okay, you guys are thinking that it's rude depending on the situation. In that difficult context, I can understand she refused to attend the wedding. She might have felt like a stranger. Yeah, no, I agree. I think that it's hard because the sister was kind of acting like she didn't want her to be there too. But yeah, I think that would be really difficult. It could also have been a help by your sister for your ex and you to get another chance to talk. You're not positive right there. I think it depends. I don't think that people need to be tricked into making the right decision for them, though, right? So if I'm like, no, I don't want to be with my ex, I don't think it's another person's place to be like, haha, I tricked you. Now you have to talk to him and maybe it will work. Like, I feel that that's overstepping a line. Like, we should all have our own autonomy to make our own choices, I think. Conservative families tend to avoid that kind of situation. Yeah, maybe people I mean, maybe in more traditional families, there's kind of the hard family structure, and so you don't feel like you can say, no, I don't want to go. I think that's true. How would you find out? How would you react now if you found out that your ex-boyfriend cheated on you? If I found out after we had broken up, I think I would just speak badly about him to my friends, but not say anything to, like, if I found out after we were already broken up. Okay, I'm gonna give you guys some gossip, some lore. This is when I was in college. When I was in college, I had a boyfriend, and I didn't really want to be in the relationship anymore. Like, I wasn't really interested in the relationship. We were together for maybe like 7 months. And so I asked him to talk, and I went to his house or his apartment, and I said, I don't want to be in a relationship anymore. And he got really upset. And then he told me that he had been looking at other women on a dating application while we were in a relationship. And I think that's part of why I got like weird vibes from him. But at the time, I also was thinking, why tell me this now after I already broke up with you? Like, what? I was like, okay, now I feel really good about my decision to break up with you. Are you a conservative woman in matter of customs and way of living? No, definitely not in matter of anything. Philosophically, politically, customarily, no, I'm not. If I were your sister, I'd definitely try to help you by doing anything possible, and inviting people to a place definitely brings the vibe back and has once you see every couple having a good time. I don't know. I guess I'm glad that you're not my sister. Because I think my sister I would definitely not do that to someone. He was hoping to make you jealous. Yeah, true. I think so. I was like, what's the point? At this point, like, what good is this doing? I think it was like, well, I didn't like you anyway. Only the good that is a little bit. I feel like I think that it really depends on why people are exes, though. Like, someone could be an ex because they're like completely have no romantic interest anymore in the other person. I think what you're saying works if it's the type of relationship where two people wanted to be together, but then one of them moved away and now it's years later. Or if there was some sort of romance movie where they were still meant to be together in the end, I feel like that would work. But in the situation where I don't know, I feel like in the situation where someone maybe has the ick from the other person, in the story she said it ended very badly. Yeah, I think in the story she said it ended badly. And if any of you guys have heard the phrase to get the ick, like, I got the ick or he gave me the ick, this is slang. This is informal English, and it basically means that you got a feeling of not wanting to be with someone anymore, like a feeling of disgust, where maybe in the beginning, I'm curious for all of you to tell me, what are your icks? Because here is an example of an ick. I could say that you go on a date with someone and everything is going well. You like this person. They are very nice. And then you go to the restaurant and the person starts to pick their nose at the table, or they start to touch their teeth at the table, or they start to cough a lot and they don't cover their mouth. You could say, I got the ick. Like, now I'm no longer attracted or interested in this person. That is to get the ick. So I'm curious, what gives you the ick? What makes you no longer interested in another person romantically? It's like a pet peeve, but it's specifically showing that you were attracted to someone romantically and now you're not attracted to them romantically anymore because of this. Also, it doesn't need to be a body thing like picking your nose. It could be, I liked him, but then he started calling me Pookie Bear, and I don't like that name, and it made me start to feel weird about him, and I don't like him anymore. So that is to get the ick from someone. In Spanish, it's like me generó rechazo and started to get the ick. Also, someone, I think Nicolas asked about this, the difference between, I think that individuals are very different when it comes to dating. However, I think that in Latin America, romance is more socially accepted from men, especially in public as well. So I think that I think for me that, not just with myself, but like even the way I see couples outside is a big difference. Hi, Joelle. We're talking about what gives you the ick, like body odor. Yes, exactly. So you could okay, imagine this. This is a perfect example of getting the ick. There's someone that you match on Tinder. You're on Tinder, you see this beautiful, beautiful person, and you're like, wow, what a beautiful person. You talk to them, and they are saying all the right things. You're really interested in them. You say, okay, let's meet for dinner tomorrow night. You go to the dinner, and you go in and say, oh, hi, nice to meet you. I'm Maggie. Go in for the hug. You smell them. They smell a lot like body odor, like dead fish, like I don't know. They smell like the worst smell that you've ever smelled. And then, like, when they're talking, their breath, it's like the worst smell you ever smelled. After the date, you might be like, or being rude. I feel like that's even worse, actually, is the person being rude to waitstaff. Then, after the date, all of your interest that you previously had for this person out the window. So all of your interest in this person has gone straight out the window. You are no longer interested romantically because of these details, these things that were just too much for you to deal with. It gives me the ick when a person starts harassing others. Okay, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I agree. Whenever someone tries to be mean to other people, or if you mean harassing in the sense of like catcalling or that sort of harassment, I think that's also really icky. If something is icky, this is gross. Icky is the same as gross. Eating messily. Yeah, definitely. I am someone that doesn't do well with sounds. So if I hear a lot of eating sounds, that is too much. I can't. Someone with toxic behavior towards others. Yes. I think when you see the way someone interacts with their family and they are really rude to their family, it's kind of icky. Especially when their family's very nice and it seems really unjustified. I understand if someone's defending themselves because their family is being terrible to them, that's one thing. But if their mom is like, hi, honey, welcome home, and he's like, shut up, mom, that's a little bit icky. Am I able to read literature in German? No, I'm not. I also have not tried. So that's part of why. I was dating a billionaire's daughter, and whenever she was picking her nose, it sent me to a picking a gold mine. Is that like a joke or a what? Yeah. So that is to get the ick from someone. Yeah, which I am just saying, if you felt that way, imagine if you felt this way. You got the ick from someone, and then your sister is like, I'm throwing you a birthday party, and I invited that guy that you went on a date with. And you're like, oh, the one who was harassing people? No thanks. I'm going to opt out. To opt out is like to choose not to participate. To opt out. So if you decide to opt out of something, you choose to not participate in something. If you work at a company and they offer a training and you say, no, actually, I don't want to do that training, you are opting out of the training. I got the ick when somebody over talking about their normal achievements. Do you feel like it was a reasonable thing to get the ick over, or that it uh is something that you have a specific issue with? I think I do think that bragging can be a little bit icky. I think it's good to be confident. It's like the two extremes can be problematic. When someone has absolutely no self-esteem at all and you feel like they are fishing for compliments. I'll write that here. Sorry, I kind of spat a little bit. Okay, so to fish for compliments. To fish for compliments, this is fishing for compliments. So remember, fishing is I want something. I want to get a fish. So imagine that I give you the bait and I want you to take it. So imagine if I say like, I'm not that good of a teacher. I don't know. I don't know if anyone likes me. And you're like, no, Maggie, it's okay. We like you. And I'm like, no, I don't know. I don't believe you. And you're like, no, but you are a nice person. I'm like, really? Do you think so? That is fishing for compliments. It's like, the person is acting insecure because they want to hear positive comments or positive feedback. So that is fishing for compliments. That was icky. Somebody who blows his own horn. Yes, true. He blows his own horn. I'm thinking if there are other ways to say that. He blows his own horn. He has a big head. If someone has a big head. I like that phrase a lot too. For example, not to toot my own horn, but so if you guys do something good, if you guys do something good and you want to talk about it, I could say, not to toot my own horn, but I got a good grade in that class. Like, I don't mean to brag, but I did this good thing. You've used that phrase before. Nice. I think that's always good to repeat. I try to opt out at lunch because of the gossip. Yeah. Workplace gossip is tricky because you feel like you might not have a close enough relationship with people to actually say what you want to say, and you might end up putting your foot in your mouth. If any of you have heard this phrase before, it means that you say something that comes out wrong. You put your foot in your you put your foot in your mouth. This is like if you are saying something, but it comes out wrong or you offend someone and your words did not sound good, you put your foot in your mouth. This is similar. They say this in Chile, at least. They say meter la pata. Blow does have a bad connotation sometimes. In this case, you could also, so to blow a horn is like to play the instrument, but you could also say to toot a horn. Like, I've been practicing this. Wait. That's to play an instrument, toot your horn. I am not single. I am married. That was mouth trumpet. But I feel like my mouth trumpet is more like mouth trombone. I think different people have different pitches for their instrument. I also like, there's a nose one where you can go like. I think I learned that on a cartoon like SpongeBob or something before. That actually, I will say, for people who are curious about for anyone who feels like your pronunciation doesn't get better, I will say I think it's just a matter of practice because we can train ourselves to do a lot of things. In the past, I could not even whistle, but I practiced a lot every day and I got to the point where I could whistle. And it's the same for pronouncing different sounds in another language. You really just have to make the sound out loud. I think a lot of the time we just read something or listen and say, oh yeah, okay, I get it. But no, you have to use your own voice. It's like, I said this in my live on TikTok recently. Imagine if Ariana Grande wants to be a good singer and she just listens to people sing, but she does not sing. She does not sing to practice singing. She does not sing to practice singing. You would be like, of course, she needs to sing. It's the same thing. It's the same thing for speaking. You want to be good at speaking. You have to use your voice to speak. Use all of the muscles involved to speak out loud, not in your head. Because when you're in a conversation, you're going to need to actually speak using your muscles, using the words out loud. So that's what you have to practice for. Who says he loves football, but he never plays it? A lot of people, I was going to say, a lot of people who like sports, it would be better said that they like watching TV. Try to speak more out loud. It sounds so basic, right? It sounds like, oh yeah, of course, but that's not, what good can that really do? But I promise it actually does make a difference if you actually speak out loud. Can I sing a song in English? Let me think. What song would be? Okay, wait, guys, I made a song. I'm gonna sing a song that I made. This is gonna be so, I mean, here's the thing. Nothing is cringe unless you make it cringe. To learn how to swim, just watching another person swimming is not enough. Yeah, it's like, it can help, of course, to be like, oh, that's what he's doing, but then you have to do it as well. Could you give us the best English books for beginners to improve reading skills? Yeah, I would say books that are good for beginners. I mean, it depends on how beginner you are. If you're kind of like the A2 level, I like Holes by Lewis Sucker. I like also the BFG. This one is easier actually, by Roald Dahl. How do you spell his name? I don't remember how to spell Roald Dahl. Something like that. Also, I think any book by Roald Dahl. And what else is a good book for beginners? Right now, this isn't like super beginner, but I would say with my B1 students, we are reading the book Before the Coffee Gets Cold, which is, I would say, also for beginners, try to find books that are chapter books for children. So one that's really good is the Magic Treehouse series. These are chapter books, but they have very short chapters, and it's really easy to, yeah, I would say the Magic Treehouse series is a good series. You could also find a graded reader, so you can find a simplified version of a longer book. For example, they have a version of the Odyssey that was made for like second grade readers in English. The House on Mango Street. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one as well. If you're able to read The House on Mango Street, I also think that you could probably read the BFG and Holes as well. I don't know if I always search, I'm going to be honest with you guys, I always search a book title and then PDF to see if I can get the free version of a book. So I would just search the title of the book you want and then PDF. So for example, if it's like the BFG, and then add the phrase PDF, and any result that comes up that says 200 pages or something on it, you could click on. Another important thing about reading, some of my students recently pointed this out to me. I sent them a book, and for some of them it was like a little bit, it seemed kind of scary to read the book, or that it seemed kind of complicated, but they were able to listen to the audiobook, which they found on Spotify or YouTube, at the same time that they read the book. It actually helps a lot. So if only reading is difficult for you or it's too much, you can listen and read at the same time. And when you're listening, the person takes breaths and pauses and uses the tone of voice. So it actually helps you better understand what you're reading if you're not used to reading in English. So that's another tip about reading. Or check on Reddit also. Yes, Reddit is a good resource for sure. Also, phrasal verbs. I think there are so many websites online where you can search. To be honest, I recommend learning. There are different ways to learn phrasal verbs. Next time, don't forget. Okay, I need to find my song. There are so many different ways to learn phrasal verbs. One way is to search by the second word, like phrasal verbs without, phrasal verbs with up. You could also search phrasal verbs for work, or phrasal verbs for shopping, or phrasal verbs for relationships. So I personally think it's very helpful to find phrasal verbs based on a specific topic, and that could also be helpful. I think Espresso English has a lot of lists of phrasal verbs. There's a website that I really like called Phrasal Verb Demon, but the thing is, I feel like you have to use it in a specific way. So Phrasal Verb Demon is a website where it has really long lists of phrasal verbs, but not all the phrasal verbs on the list are very common or worth remembering. But the thing I like about Phrasal Verb Demon is that it divides phrasal verbs into categories, Phrasal Verb Demon. And you go to the part that says logic, it has a bunch of different particles that phrasal verbs use. The letters are looking reverse. I know, it's because Instagram does not have any possible option to mirror the camera. I complain about this constantly. I tagged the creator of Instagram. I kind of started harassing him trying to change it, but they don't listen to me. So if you guys are passionate like me about this issue, you can maybe tag the creator of Instagram and tell him we need you to. Because on TikTok, you can mirror the video, but not on Instagram, and it's really stupid. Pardon my French. Okay, so maybe I'll choose one. So it shows me all of the different phrasal verbs with by, and it says basically, I'll just read it because you guys aren't going to be able to read it anyway. By means movement near or past, visiting, according to, or preparation. So these are all the different ways that we use by in a phrasal verb. So with movement, we have to pass by, fly by, go by, slip by, stand by, whiz by. And so that's what I mean. Like, whiz by isn't a common word. Like, that's very specific, maybe from a novel. But I will say that it helps to remember the category because you will always come across new phrasal verbs. It's always going to be part of the language in English. It's part of the logic of the language. It's not possible to avoid them when you're interacting with real world English. And so it helps to remember the ways that words are used with by instead of trying to remember every single phrasal verb, because that way when you see a new one that you haven't memorized yet, you're able to connect it to what you already know. Then we have like visiting, so to come by, drop by, go by, stop by, swing by. According to, abide by, get by, go by, live by, stand by, stick by, swear by, and preparation, stand by, put by, sit by. What I recommend is if you guys want, and I find this is my preferred way of thinking about phrasal verbs if it's what you're studying now, I would go to the website, Phrasal Verb Demon, and think of what are the phrasal verbs that confuse you a lot. Is it phrasal verbs with the word out, through, up, another one? And look at the different ways that they're used and then try to learn maybe a couple of phrasal verbs that fit into the different categories and just continue consuming real content in English. The more you watch TV in English, the more that you listen to podcasts or other content that has native speakers, you're going to see a lot of examples of phrasal verbs, and over time they'll become more natural for you. So it's possible to learn them. You just need a lot of exposure to the language and direct practice. Do you think that Americans have little to no stimulus to learn languages? I think it depends. There are a lot of Spanish speakers that live in the US. And I have multiple friends that live in cities where they have many Spanish-speaking coworkers. And so Yeah, like where I'm from in Washington, D.C., it was so diverse, and I always grew up around diverse people, and I was very like aware of immigrants. And so it's difficult for me to say that that's the case everywhere because we're a very diverse country with a lot of immigrants. But I think if you go to the parts of the US that are less diverse and maybe more rural, I think that the education system is very America first. I also think that people, because we produce a lot of our own media and cultural exports, people are not incentivized to watch international films. Like in terms of pop culture and things like that, we consume more of our own things, which I think people like in China, they kind of do that too. I think that some of the big countries, we consume a lot of our own stuff instead of stuff from other countries. So I definitely think a lot of people live in a bubble in that way. Always going to be new phrasal verbs. Yes. I gave this example in a video. Maybe I can share it on my story. I gave this example. There are new phrasal verbs when people create like new slang or young people start using new words. In English, that also happens with phrasal verbs. It's just a different type of vocabulary where it's multiple words together. I saw a couple years ago the phrasal verb to crash out. And this is one that I hadn't seen before because it was like a new phrasal verb that young people were using to crash out. And I didn't know what it meant. What is to crash out? And so what did I do? First, I used my knowledge of other phrasal verbs that are similar. I know to freak out, to flip out. These are like to go crazy or to have this external upset reaction. So I was thinking, I think that to crash out maybe is related to this. And then I was seeing a lot of TikToks, a lot of videos where people were saying, he's crashing out. And I kind of, through the context, understood what it meant. And so even for native speakers, you have to use what you know in order to predict what new words mean. And that's always going to be the case. And that's why whenever people ask for like lists of phrasal verbs, I think it's okay, but it's also good to pay attention to patterns because that's really going to help you when there's a new one. So don't only prepare for words. Don't just try to know everything. Try to prepare for what you don't know. Try to get better at critically thinking and guessing and predicting and finding patterns in the language. And that's always going to help you when there's inevitably, because it will always happen, something new that you don't know. It's a pity Americans don't turn themselves more towards other cultures. I think so too. I think it's weird because there's this feeling, wanna be my girlfriend? No. Guys, I just made a video about how I was annoyed by people for making stupid comments like that. What was I even saying? That just really, I was crashing out. Now you guys know what it looks like to crash out. I agree. I think people from the US, here's the thing. It feels really unfair that people from English speaking countries do not have to learn another language, right? In the way that people from non-English speaking countries, in order to get promotions or to have some education and travel opportunities, often need to learn English in a lot of cases. But here's the thing, that is doing ourselves or themselves, monolingual English speakers, a disservice. Learning a language is really good for your brain. It's really good to combat dementia, Alzheimer's. It's really good for critical thinking. It's really good for just being a more understanding, empathetic person in the world. Like learning a language is such a good thing for you. And it opens you up to be able to talk to so many more people. So I agree. I think it's unfortunate that there are people that don't need to, so they just don't do it. I think that happens, right? I think that when there are people that don't need to do something, they don't. And there are a few who do, but a lot who don't. And then when there are people who need to do something in order to have more opportunities, they're probably going to do it. But yeah, at the end of the day, I think that those people who are monolingual English speakers are missing out and they're losing out on very useful skills. You learn so much more than just a language when you learn a language. I feel like it's a very transformative process. You also learn how to express yourself in a new way. You learn that your worldview is not the worldview of everyone. You learn that there are concepts that exist in other languages that don't exist in your language. I feel like learning a language has so many benefits beyond just the utility of using English at work, for example. Too biased? A lot of academic literature is in English. True. I think like 80% of academic journals are in English. So if you are wanting to be in academics, you also have to be able to publish your work in English in most cases, which I agree is very biased. Yeah. Am I speaking just English or another language? I also speak Spanish. I live in Chile and I'm learning German. Learning a language is so life-changing. I agree. I think so too. I feel like I feel like I think differently, not just because the language I learned, I think it's two things. One, because the language I learned is Spanish, and so I am thinking differently in that sense. And the second reason, because I learned another language and it didn't matter what language it was, but it was just different from my native language. Like, I think in both ways you learn something. I've seen people who go live on 3 or 4 platforms at the same time. Oh my gosh. Guys, you're giving me ideas. I'm gonna start doing that because that way I can maximize my time. People always ask me like, "Oh, can you go live every day?" And I'm like, "I don't have time for that, but it would be helpful if I could go live on multiple platforms." I'm from Turkey. Do you know something about Turkey? Not that much. I have a student from Turkey. I know that Istanbul is in Turkey. It is the gateway to the West. There are a lot of cats in Istanbul. I think that people eat doner kebabs there. The language of Turkish looks interesting. There are a lot of Turkish English teachers on here. There are a couple that follow me. Turkey also used to be part of the Ottoman Empire. True, true. That's cool you're learning German language. I'll start it when I finish with English. You'll find that if you know English and a Romance language, you'll find that a lot of other words in English that don't have Latin roots have Germanic roots or Greek roots, as well as other languages. But I feel like my interest in etymology has really grown, and I'm able to kind of pay attention even more to the history of English, knowing German as well. Yes. Okay. I can wrap up the class doing the trumpet because I actually have to go and get on with my day. Yes. Also in Chile, a lot of people watch Turkish romantic comedies or Turkish soap operas. That's what it is. A lot of people here in Chile watch Turkish soap operas that are dubbed. It's very common. So if you guys are from Turkey, just know that a lot of Chileans watch your television series. Which is so funny. Yeah, in the US, people don't really watch Turkish television series, but in Chile, they do. And that's what I like about countries that are not the US and their consumption of international media. That's What is the Christmas song that orchestras sing? Like Joy to the World? Like. You missed a chapter. Wait, I can't do it when I laugh. There we go. Okay, Turkish soap operas are also very popular here in Uruguay. And in Brazil, okay, in a lot of places. I love the vibes of this live class where we're talking about like Turkish, we're talking about Turkish soap operas while I'm doing a mouth trumpet to a Christmas song, and I feel like that is just indicative of the type of English class that people always enter like, where's the grammar? Okay, well, sign, is that, are you guys writing in Turkish? Now I feel like I have to go watch a Turkish soap opera. All right, now I actually have to go get on with my day. This is this is a fever dream. That was Joy to the World. In case you didn't recognize my song, it was Joy to the World. All right. Take care, everyone. I'm going to upload this so you can watch that back. Also, the Reddit stories that I read, I'll post it on YouTube in case you didn't catch all the vocabulary. Have a good day. Take care. See you. Bye bye.